Ladies and gents, it's break time. Now, I'm sure some of you at home are probably laughing because this was not part of the initial plan. The plan was to get this blower on there, get the meth working, get it tuned, and enjoy it. But you know how this goes, right? One thing leads to another. You spending some time around the car and you get looking at things that have been driving you nuts for years, and well, that's how I've ended up in this mess. So the quick backstory for those of you that don't know is this car was 5-lug 4-wheel disc swapped back in 2016. No, even before that, like 2008, I want to say. I bought a whole car that had this SSBC 5-lug 4-wheel disc brake swap on it. So I just parked it beside this car and went to town, started swapping stuff back and forth. And this is kind of the starter version of the 4-lug 4-wheel disc brake swap. So front, you know, it's Lincoln rotor. The rear actually is somewhat of a mystery as to what these brakes are from. And now more on that later. Stay tuned and I'll explain myself as to why I feel that way about it. But I wanted to show you a quick look at the parts that are going to be going on here. So this is going to be like a true blue Cobra brake swap. Cobra rear rotors, Cobra front rotors, Cobra front calipers. We got the pads, sliders, like everything is getting replaced. Got some 75, 90 and the friction modifier ready to rock and roll because we got to pull the rear axles. That's where some of this stuff's going to come in, right? Got the new brackets, caliper mount brackets. Now I've gone through and kind of painted and done some stuff to all these. So like the spindles, I've peeled apart, sandblasted, cleaned up, got brand new hubs for them. These were actually in really good shape. I got them from, a now new Foxbody buddy, a couple hours away from me, sent out an SOS on my Instagram, and he reached out and said, yep, I happen to have some spindles sitting here on the shelf. So thanks a lot for that, bud, if you're watching. I gotta think that these only had like very limited miles on them because of the shape that they were in. I actually almost considered not even pulling them apart. The hubs and everything were in such good shape, but I did want to paint them and whatever, so they did come apart. We're going to start fresh. And these are 94, 95 spindles, for those of you wondering. I know this topic's been beat to death on the internets, but the whole deal with the 94, 95 is you get less overall poke out of your wheel well with a 94, 95 spindle. I think these are somewhere in and around 3 mil more than what stock is. Maybe don't quote me on that, confirm it. And the tie rod end, the angle on this spindle is a lot more favorable than the 96 plus spindles. So yeah, this is kind of a quick look at the parts. I got a box here from LMR. We're going to actually be rebuilding the front control arms, my OEM ones. So these are new bushings and new ball joints. These are the SN95 style, so we don't got to run a spacer on the spindle. New dust shields, and I can't remember the state of my rear axle bearings and seals, but got some of those just in case. New lines. These are the axle lines. I got new hoses too, the braided kind of flexible hoses. I'll show you more on, actually the rear is kind of funny how I did it back in whatever it was, 2007, 2008. And actually, Rock Auto had a little bit of a mix up here. This is the rear caliper bracket that I need. Well, actually that isn't, but that's the part number I need. They had GT rear caliper brackets in there. So these got the sandblast and paint treatment before it dawned on me that I was dealing with the wrong caliper brackets. But anyway. Disassembly complete. Now, I couldn't help but kind of think to myself as I was going through all this, the more I look at these inner control arm bushings, the more I'm like, why am I going to all the trouble to change these? I mean, they're in unreal shape still. And I guess I kind of in the back of my mind wondered if they were still in really good shape. I did have a quick look at them from underneath the car and everything. And I thought, you know, it's better to have those things sitting here ready to rock and roll, should I need them, than not have them and need them. And I complain about this a lot, but our Canadian parts stores aren't always the best at tracking down parts. So I'm thinking I might just leave those bushings in the box for a rainy day, right? Or another car that comes through that needs them. So I think we're just going to move forward with putting the new ball joint in, and won't bore you guys with an A-arm restore. Like, would I like to paint that lower A-arm? Sure, but I don't know. For what it's all worth, I don't think I'm going to go to that trouble. Things are going pretty smooth as is. I know I'm going to run into something. You know how that goes. But I think we'll just keep moving forward. So I'm going to get this old rubber line off here too after I get the ball joint in. And then I think we can start assembling our new spindle assembly. Well, folks, 1/4 complete, more or less. I still got to get my end link in there, but that goes a heck of a lot easier when this thing's sitting on its own weight. So I'm very, very happy with this outcome. Well, obviously looking forward to hitting the brake pedal for the first time, but the look is exactly what I was going for. I did make a quick mention here of these Maxim Motorsports hoses. So these were purchased from LMR. Actually a neat little kit for sure, and helps with the transition from Fox to New Edge or SN95 stuff, right? But the only thing you gotta be careful with, and it lays this all out in their instructions, but their banjo bolt torque spec is a little lighter than everything else. So pay close attention to that if you're going down this road. But yeah, really, really pumped. I'm going to throw a wheel on here real quick. I'll just give you guys maybe a quick sneak peek because I want to look at how this is going to look with a wheel on it. So I'll throw that on there quick, and then I've already migrated my tools over to the other side. So I won't bore you with the exact same footage of me doing the passenger side. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get the quick trick alignment tool on the front end of this thing. She's a little off because, as you can see over there, well, that rotor was straight, and now we're towed in hard. So anyway, migrated my tools over, and the other good news is my proper Cobra rear caliper brackets showed up. They are hanging to dry. I've ran them through the blast cabinet, hit them with my cast blast. So I know it kind of looks like raw metal, but that's the color of this paint. That's the theme I'm going for here. So how much better is that? Oh my goodness. This is exactly what I was missing. I'll give you a quick little comparison here. Can't back up too much. There we go. Right? So much better. Oh my goodness. I am absolutely tickled over the outcome here. Exactly what this thing was missing. All right, guys, a bit of a day here. I spent more time playing Mr. Mom than I did mechanic, but I'll just kind of recap what's going on here for you. Passenger side is rocking and rolling. And man, oh man, do I ever like that. Good grief. Sorry, I can't say enough. Back, well, you've seen me drop the fluid, and I've since kind of jacked her up and got her on blocks so I can easily access everything here between the outside and the outside of the hoist and inside the hoist and everything. But while I'm in this form and before I start tearing this all out, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of my handiwork back in 07 here. So, swapping this over in my driveway, long story short, I could not get parts when I needed them. So this was a homemade line that I made to get over here and talk to my caliper, right? So couldn't track down the soft lines, whatever. I say this a lot, but it's a Canada thing. And so anyway, kind of hand built these, and they go around the shock and whatever. It definitely works. It doesn't leak, and got me by till now. Well, hell, quite a while. It's been quite a while now that they've been in operation. But yeah, got those on both sides, and yeah, they're doing the trick. Anyway, all that's coming out. I got new lines to come up and over the diff. I got the soft lines for both sides. And we got to pull the axle, so that's why the diff's down, or the diff cover's off. I think I'll be starting that tomorrow, but anyway. And for any of you wondering what that black line is up there, or maybe I'm just pointing it out and laying on the sword here, this is my LED light kit. If you guys missed our live stream, you'll hear me talk about this. So you can see it up there where I've mounted it. I was making fun of myself for just how god-awful the mounting of this kit is. Definitely not my finest electrical work, but yeah, it's weird because they come in a kit and it's all pre-wired. You got to just kind of deal with it and like run the LED light over the diff and stuff. It's goofy, but my kids love it, and well, my buddies were leaning on me to do it too. So anyway, that side looks a lot better because, well, it comes in two pieces. I've got a video on this. I'll show you guys. It'll probably come out after this one, but one piece up front, one piece down the side, and then this one is one piece down the side, one piece out the back, and then they all tie in wherever you're going to wire them up. In my case, it was up at the driver's side wheel well, but yeah. Oh my God, I'm not proud of that. Anyway, you're probably going to see a bunch of that on camera, so now that I've pointed it out, you can make fun of me in the comments. Alright guys, rear braking system is off, and don't mind me, I'm trying to be a little quieter because my middle gal is sleeping right there. More Mr. Mom duties today. She's whatever, not feeling well, so she's having a snooze with me at the shop. Anyway, still got to pull the axle, but while I'm thinking of the axle, I should mention I'm looking forward to measuring these because I have no idea how wide these are. I don't know if they're SN95 rear axles or Fox length axles. Again, this all came off another car, and I didn't bother measuring anything or paying any attention to it. I just went from the donor car to my car, and it's been driven for the last however many years since I put it on in 07. So now, here is the caliper bracket that I was referencing earlier. I have no idea what this caliper bracket is from either. This is the 0304 Cobra and Mach 1, I believe, caliper bracket. So we'll put them side by side. This guy's definitely wider in the rotor area. This is actually the rotor that came off it too. Obviously not a GT rotor because it's vented. The GT rotors are just solid through here. So yeah, I don't know. Now, there's no part numbers on this deal. I mean, there's a little something here, but I don't know that that references a part number. It does have left-hand side designation here. That's about it. Now, the only other clue that I have, and I didn't know this until I ran like a measuring caliper across the caliper that came off the rear, but it's a 42 mil piston, so the larger Taurus piston caliper or whatever. So I don't know, maybe this is off a Taurus or an SHO, or my knowledge gets a little weak when it comes to those cars, so I don't know. Anyway, if you do, I would love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments. I've also got a post out right now on my Instagram to see if anybody knows what the hell these are off of. Like, all things considered, fairly stout caliper bracket, right? The GT ones don't have this kind of center section in them here, and they're a lot thinner through here, thinner rotor clearancing. So I don't know. Anyways, mysteries in the old Ford world. So I'm just going to get the other side pulled apart. We'll get these axles out. I'll take a measurement on them and let you know kind of what we're dealing with, and then we can start putting this back together. Okay, folks, the axles. Now, I got my tape measure out here because, again, I don't know what in the hell these axles were out of. Similar story to the rear brakes. It just all came off another car. So I'm hoping for Fox length here because the brackets that I have to mount my caliper to right here, well, those are the old ones, but the new ones over on the bench here, they are for Fox length axles. So let's draw the tape out here. Now what we're looking for is Fox length are in and around, like just a C hair over 29 inches. Oh, beauty. Okay, it looks like we got Fox length axles. SN95s are like just a C hair under 30. So, beauty. Okay, this will all end up working out. I was a little panicked when these came out because I thought, uh-oh. I either got to go looking for new brackets or new axles. But, yeah, this will work out lovely. Alright folks, I interrupt this important time lapse to tell you a little bit about what the heck's going on here. So, I got all my new lines in, new flex lines, and they're drilled, tapped, even, well, drilled the little locating hole here. Lines across the top of the diff are all in, and they went in quite nicely. Actually, everything is going together really nicely. And my new top line here, flex line, goes up to the hard line up on top of the diff. That's in. Yeah, so I think we're looking pretty good. We are pretty much ready for reassembly. Well, folks, we've hit a brick wall, and I knew something was going to happen because everything was going way too smoothly. But anyway, I'll try to explain. I'm not 100% sure as to the reasoning behind this. I know it's got something to do with these axles. They are Fox length. I think it's got something to do with the flange on them. Yeah. Anyway, I'll show you what's going on here. So, Cobra caliper bracket, right, fits over the Cobra rotor, yet we have a gap between the caliper bracket and, well, the mount, the caliper bracket mount on the axle here. So I've done some quick measurements here, and I just happen to have a piece of 1/4 inch aluminum stock sitting here, and that is exactly the depth of stock that I need to run in here as a spacer, which is funny enough the same depth as this actual caliper bracket, like this black guy here. It's 1/4 inch as well. So this 1/4 inch spacer gets my caliper bracket exactly centered on the rotor. So I guess I'm off to the laser cutter. I do have a guy in town here that works quite quickly and can most likely give me a hand with that. So I guess I'm going to go down and see him. Now, I remember having to deal with this when I had the average Fox in here for a rear disc brake swap. It was just a 4-lug rear disc brake swap. And there were spacers involved with that whole caliper axle mount bracket. And I can't remember the reasoning. Again, I know it's to do with axle flanges and or axle length. But yeah, I've ran into it. And you know what's funny? I had this in the back of my head when I was going into this because I wasn't sure what length axles these were because they came out of that donor car and everything else. And then when I measured them and I'm like, sweet, Fox length, this is perfect. But in my case, I think it's got something to do with the flange. So anyway, project's currently on pause, which is not good because I was hoping to have this done tonight. I got to change the oil in my wife's SUV and she's over. I decided to make my own. Now they may not be the prettiest spacers, but they were free other than my time and I think they'll do. I just happen to have a chunk of 5-inch wide 1/4 inch steel stock up in the mezzanine and I thought, you know what? To hell with it. All this is a spacer. I mean, I don't know, maybe down the road I'll get something proper cut. It would be nice to kind of follow the contour of these axle brackets, but I think these are going to cut the mustard. Now, I am going to have to get some longer bolts. I'm not happy losing a 1/4 inch on those bolts there, so I'm going to get some longer bolts. And while I was going through all this, I actually realized something else here too that I'm going to need. So back to the parts store. So these sliders were what came out of these other caliper brackets. Okay, fit nice, whatever. Well, I've come to find out these guys, those brackets are a lot deeper than the Cobra brackets. Check this out. Not good. So, need a new set of sliders that are going to fit these Cobra caliper brackets as well. So I guess nothing's getting done tonight. I'm going to get those bracket spacers painted and they should be dry and ready to rock for the morning. That'll be good. And then I can get my bolts and my new sliders for my caliper brackets. And I think we'll be off to the races. Sorry guys, I'm just kind of talking out loud here. But anyway, we got lots going on here. It's, what time is it? 10:45. Yep. My family is going to kill me. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning, guys. Morning, folks. A little dusty today, but we're here. We're getting her done. Been to the bolt house and also the parts store. Got myself the appropriate length sliders just to kind of show you what we're dealing with here. There you go. Right? So these are actually for these caliper brackets, and then I got myself some options, proper strength M12s here for my new and, well, not improved, but my new bracket spacers. Right now, I did receive some information. I've been talking about a lot of things on this video, but I did receive some information from my good buddy, Bob Goodson at Purist Motorsports. He's got a YouTube channel, an Unreal website. I probably should have looked there first, but I got his number, so I just reached out to him. Anyway, in regards to these caliper brackets that I've been kind of droning on about. He sent me some info that I think would be really good to share with people regarding those caliper brackets. So I had another gentleman, actually I should mention him first, reach out, Dennis Lachey early, what's his handle here on Instagram? Dennis_Lachey_early V8 garage. It's a big one. Anyway, Dennis sent me some info in a DM saying that Celine used those caliper brackets on their 92 93s and Ford used it on the 93R. Okay, this has got my attention, right? So I reached out to Bob, Purist Motorsports. I said, Bob, you're the one-stop place for all this intel, right? I need to confirm this with you. So he got back to me. He said, 87, 88 T-Bird Turbo Coupe, 93 Cobra, late 91 and 92 Mark 7s, and 93 Cobra R and 93 Celine's used that caliper, or that caliper bracket, right? Because the caliper, well, actually, maybe they used these 42 mil calipers. Sorry guys, this video has been filmed over 3 days. I can't remember if I spoke on this, but I measured the piston in these calipers that I had from this mystery SSBC kit, and they're 42 mil, like the Taurus ones everyone talks about, versus the 38 mils, okay? So, 93 Celine rear axle is the same as the 93 Cobra R, which is Mark 7 axle, sold through Ford Motorsport. That caliper was sold in the M-2300C Motorsport 4-lug kit and was also sold as a kit by SSBC. Both SSBC and Ford Motorsport had options where you could use the stock Fox axles or T-Bird /93 Cobra axles. Interesting info, right? So yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things, right? Like, Bob even mentioned that he ran down this rabbit hole like 15 to 18 years ago to try to figure this all out and has it on his website. So this information does exist on the interwebs. It's just there's so much information out there, you don't even really know where to start looking. But I know Bob, and Bob's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this stuff, so I figured I'd text him and figure it out, and that's what he told me. So anyway, if you've muscled your way through my video to this point, and now this information's entering your ears, I hope it helps you, right? Because I don't know, I really enjoy that type of intel. It intrigues me, right? I love the backstory on everything and anything, including something as mundane as caliper brackets. So anyway, if I was getting paid by the hour to work on my own car, I'd be kicking my own ass. So I better get at her, folks. Murphy's Law strikes again. God damn it. I'm telling you. The last mile is always the hardest, you know? Okay, long story short, these calipers are not going to work, right? You can clearly see here that the caliper will not mount to the Cobra brackets. So, I guess these are, well, this would make sense falling in line with the whole Lincoln program. And I probably should have recognized this when everything was on the bench, but I didn't. So this caliper is too wide for the Cobra bracket, and it all makes sense because those caliper brackets are wider. So anyway, I guess I just wanted to point that out, guys. So another lesson learned. Lincoln calipers are wider than Cobra caliper brackets. I'm off to the parts store. I'll see you in a minute. Well, the world's longest Cobra rear brake swap seems to be back on track. I got me some new 38 mil calipers. They weren't cheap because I bought them here in Canada, and nothing up here is cheap, but that's a whole nother story. I slapped a quick coat of paint on them last night before I left. Had to rush out of here and get on the podcast. Actually had Cabernet Fox. big buddy Angel all the way down in Florida as a guest last night. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, the caliper, Ford calipers too, not the no-namers. I mean, sure, they're rebuilt, but Ford calipers, painted up, ready to rock and roll. Other than adjusting the emergency brake on these, this should be pretty straightforward. Couple bolts for each. And then we're down to the bleeding operation. So drop the car down and maybe get it up on some little stubby jack stands, bleed her out, and we're good to go. I do have to manhandle my airbags back into position. Anyway, just kind of thinking out loud here as per usual, but stand by guys, we'll get these on there and I'll give you a final look. Ladies and gents, you're looking at a completed rear Cobra swapped rear disc brake swap. Man, she was an uphill battle. I mean, well, not necessarily, right? It's all pretty straightforward, but in my case, I just dealt with some unforeseen ordeals because, well, I had this SSBC kind of air quote unknown 5-bolt disc brake swap on it, so my axle flanges gave me a little bit of grief, and then ultimately those brake calipers gave me a little bit of grief, but nothing we couldn't figure out is just a handful of trips to the parts store. But I'll give you kind of a final look at everything as to how it all went on. Those brackets, or not really brackets, but bracket spacers, I guess you could say, that I made, they worked. I actually also, I'll show you here, used a couple washers just to space the caliper bracket out, you know, that 1/16 of an inch more, just to get my caliper bracket nice and centered. I don't know if you'll be able to get a view of that, but maybe just take my word for it. Those couple washers I ran in here, which I will show you, just put this caliper bracket perfectly square over top of this rotor, which is kind of key for even pad wear and proper braking. So here, yeah, you can see right here. So there's the spacer I made. There's that washer in between the spacer and the North Race Car bracket. Now I actually talked to my buddy Jeremy, who reached out to me due to my Instagram stories and said that he took a snapshot of a set of instructions he has for these North Race Car brackets, and actually what I did here is what they recommend for proper caliper bracket spacing. Maybe you can kind of see it a little better from that angle, hopefully. Anyway, that's kind of how that all flanged up. I got my e-brake cables on, C-clips on there. Everything's torqued to spec and ready to rock and roll. Diff cover cleaned up. That poor old girl had never been cleaned up since '92, so took a little bit of elbow grease in the blast cabinet. And then, yeah, same thing over here. Got all my clips and everything in there, so everything's riding where it needs to ride. And then the pre-bent classic tube brake lines from LMR, they really are slick, right? Oh, and then the flexible braided lines, right? Versus my hillbilly engineering hand bent lines. So yeah, worked out pretty good. I haven't rested the diff back up into place or anything, put my airbags back in place, because I figured this would give you guys a little bit better view of just how everything looks. So overall, very happy, very excited. Well, ladies and gents, pound for pound, not a bad install, right? All things considered, I think like overall it went really, really smooth, aside from my couple little hiccups I mentioned in the very back of the car there. But yeah, I hope this video helps you guys. I know there's a lot of other videos on the YouTubes that explain, maybe even better than I did, the step-by-step process, torque specs, everything. I'll see what I can do in the edit of this video. Maybe they will show up, but I'm a one-man band, right? dad of 3. I mean, kids playing sports, it's a little tough to manage all these things, but I'll see what I can do. If not, I hope you just enjoyed this from an entertainment perspective. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please hit me up in the comments. Love chatting with you guys. And pits in Tennessee, I'm heading down there this year. So for any of you that are in that area and thinking about heading down and we haven't had a chance to shake hands yet, I'm going to be there, and I'm bringing this old green donkey. It's going to follow me all the way down there. I'm going to tow it. And yeah, I guess as far as next videos are concerned, I do actually have some convertible stuff. For all you vert guys out there, I got a pile of just random stuff laying around that I still got to do to that car. So depending on how this all goes, the bleeding and stuff, might have to, I do have an air bleeder, but might have to bring the wife down and get her to work the old right leg and help me bleed this thing. Depending on how that all goes, I do have to get her car in for an oil change too. I might get this home, bring the vert in, and then next steps for this car, unless anything else haywire pops up, is heading over to Matthew Puzzi at Tech Motion in Calgary, Alberta. He does have a YouTube channel. Check him out. Very brilliant man. I call him the Yoda of Fox bodies. Gonna take the car over to him. We're gonna put it on the dyno, tune it, see what kind of numbers she lays down. Pretty excited for that. And after that, it's Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.